Just like having relevant and accurate information is necessary to make sound hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a sponsor of the Spark.
Since 1964, Memphis Theological Seminary has worked to equip men and women of all races and faiths with the spark to do ministry for the real world. We're grateful to serve our community and proud to support WKNO.
Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance has been serving the Mid-South since 1954. We've always focused on supporting our community and believed in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb and Pitts is proud to be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Additional funding for the Spark is provided by Christian Brothers University, by Meriton, by YX Genomics, and by SERVES.
This month on The Spark, our theme is A Bright Future. We'll learn more about a nonprofit providing high school students with the tools and mentorship to successfully apply to and succeed in college, an organization providing sports and recreational activities for blind or visually impaired men, women, and children in our community, and a company helping homeowners, businesses, and nonprofits stay cool, save money, and make a statement with window films and graphics. We'll also share a special moment from our Spark Awards 2016. Ever been excited by a new idea? Inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes making a difference in their own way so we can learn and do the same. This truth is the power behind this show, which is focused on business and community leaders who are leading by example to give back, fuel change, and create new opportunities for the Mid-South. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark. They're a nonprofit helping high school students successfully apply to and succeed in college. I'm here with the founder and CEO of the College Initiative, Gabe Fotzing. And so this is your baby, so to speak, and you have a unique story in and of itself. So give us a little bit of a story for Gabe, and then tie that to starting the College Initiative.
Sure. So I am originally from Cameroon. My family immigrated to the United States back in 2000. And we moved to Houston, Texas. And I went to high school, public high school in Houston, Texas. And around my sophomore year of high school, I had a heart-to-heart conversation with my parents about wanting to go to college. They were like, that's a great idea, but we don't have the money to pay for you to go to college. So you need to figure out that entire piece. So what I did, I went to our public library and checked out all the books I could find about applying to college and about how to secure a scholarship. And then based on those things, I created kind of like a 3-year plan for myself. And senior year came around, I applied to 10 different schools across the country. And I was very, very, very fortunate to get into all 10. And at the end of the day, I decided to go to Harvard because Harvard gave me the best financial aid package. And when I went to visit, I fell in love with the school. And then after Harvard, I joined Teach for America in the Mississippi Delta region. And at the same time that I was starting to teach high school, my younger sister was also starting high school, and my parents were like, we don't know what to do. You figured it out, so your job is to help your younger sister figure it out as well. And I sat her down and I asked her, where do you want to go to school? She told me that she wanted to go to Brown. I was a little bit disappointed that she didn't want to go to Harvard as well. But I was like, okay, so if you want to go to Brown, like one of the things that I experienced when I was in college was that all my friends and I, we did the exact same things, right? Just in different settings. So it's like, okay, here's a template, here's what you need to do to go to Brown. And she followed that plan about 75% of the time, but now she's a junior at Brown, right? So it worked out perfectly for her. And when I was in the classroom and talking to my fellow other teachers, like one of the things that we found was that the students that we were working with, they all had a desire to go to college. However, they didn't have that institutional knowledge, that structure that my little sister had in me in terms of like walking them through the process. So when I finished TFA in 2012, I just went all in. It's like, this is an issue that I deeply care about, that I want to do something about, and that's how the College Initiative started.
Talk about the stats, because I think they're staggering, because most kids, when you talk about college counseling, you know, it's like one counselor to like 1,000 students. So there's really not much of a chance to have that personalized attention.
It is quite, and like you say, it's quite staggering, especially in low income and underserved schools. Like the ratio is about 1 to 1,000. And unfortunately, a lot of the counselors who are placed in the schools are not actually giving college guidance to the students because they have all the other structural issues that they need to be taken care of. So what we do is that we focus purely on the college guidance piece of navigating high school and getting into college, and then later on graduating from college.
And so let's dive into the model, because you work with teachers, you help, you train them, you've got your own team that goes in, and to your point, you figure out, you ask them all the questions, the students, and it's like, where do you want to go? You take them on tours, you know that each school is different culturally, you talk about all those dynamics, but then you lay out a plan and you help them mobilize that plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that we work, like we have 5 main pillars at the College Initiative. The first one is academic guidance in high school, making sure that all of our students are taking the right classes at the right time, depending on what interest they have in terms of like where they want to go to college. So we want to make sure that they prepare for that. The second pillar is test preparation. So we provide ACT test prep to all of our students free of charge. And what we've seen from that piece alone is that we see a growth from our students on an average of 3 points on the ACT, which is quite significant. It's the difference between getting into your first choice college to also qualifying for a scholarship that the college provides. The third piece is the college exploration piece, because a lot of our students are first generation college goers, so they don't understand the difference between a community college, a technical school, a national university, a liberal arts college, or a research university. Or liberal arts college, and we want to make sure that they understand the differences, and because we want to make sure that they go to their best fit college. The fourth piece is the financial aid piece, in terms of like educating both the students and the parents on how to fill out the FAFSA correctly. If they're applying to schools that also require the CSS profile, how to do that correctly, how to find and apply to scholarship that they qualify for, because again, like we want to make sure that going to college is not a huge financial burden on either them or their families. Right. And the last piece, the fifth component, is the social aspect. Once they go into college, like how do you interact with your roommates? How do you interact with your college professor? How do you go and advocate for yourself if you're not happy with your grades or whatever that may be? How do you go to parties without losing your mind? How do you go to parties and protect yourself at parties? Because those are invariably going to be all the things that they're going to be facing in college, and we want to make sure that they're prepared for it.
Talk about success, because you've had great success.
Yes, it's been a roller coaster ride. It's been phenomenal since inception. Like we've had 100% acceptance rate into college, and over the past 4 years, we had like our students, like our graduating seniors, have accumulated over $25 million in scholarship. And like this year, we're very, very excited because we may have a breakout here where we actually make also $25 million in scholarship just this year alone. Because again, the way that we've seen changes in the schools that we've had long-term partnership with, is that there's a cultural shift that is happening earlier and earlier on in college, which means that the students who are coming into our program know a little bit more about the ropes, and like we don't have to start all the way from scratch. And like right now, this year actually, last week I got a call from one of our students, Jasmine, who's at Middle College, and she got into Dartmouth, and that was her first choice school. So I was just like so excited about that, and that is just like the beginning. Like we have a lot of more students and a lot more acceptances down the pipeline that are going to be coming up in the spring. So when we talk again in the spring, I can give you like a full picture of what we were able to accomplish this year.
Well, Gabe, I greatly appreciate all you're doing. You're helping in tremendous ways. So thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeremy.
They're an organization providing recreation and sports activities for youth and adults who are blind or visually impaired. I'm here with Curtis Tillman. He's a board member with the Tennessee Association of Blind Athletes. And so, Curtis, when you talk about the Tennessee Association of Blind Athletes, give us some history for the organization.
Well, in 2009, Tennessee Association of Blind Athletes was formed in Nashville, Tennessee. And we created the Memphis chapter in 2013. So we're going on our 4th year in Memphis.
And talk about some of the activities, because you guys host a lot of activities. It's pretty amazing to see the breadth of sports, but walk us through some of the sports that you guys get to host and play.
Well, the activities we have, and I try to do this in alphabetical order so it'll be easier to remember, archery, beep baseball, beep kickball, bowling, cycling. That's a tandem cycle with two people. It helps that one person, the person in the front, is actually sighted. Then we do exercise and fitness. We do game night. That's leisure fun activities like bingo. And then we do goal ball.
And goal ball is a little bit like soccer, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And explain it, because I think what's amazing is for those that that can see, you think, well, soccer and some of these sports, and like you alluded to, bicycle riding, but then all of a sudden you realize, wait a second, you guys can do so much. It's absolutely amazing, and it's inspiring to see you out there living life to the fullest, engaged, having fun, exercising. But the way you can do it, it makes it all possible. So describe goal ball and just kind of how you play.
Well, let me briefly give a little history. In 1947, a German and an Austrian came up with this game for veterans that came back from World War II that was blind and visually impaired. Actually, it's a 3-on-3 game. The goal is 4 feet tall, 30 feet wide, and we basically have a ball with bails in it, and we roll it like bowling, but some of the guys can get this ball up to 35 miles an hour and as high as 2 feet. And the object is to keep the ball from going into the other person, keep the ball from going into our goal and get the ball in the other person's goal.
See, I love it. I mean, just the innovation, the creativity, but the whole purpose on your end is it's camaraderie, it's bringing people together, it's physical fitness and exercise.
Yes.
And even to your point, when you're talking about veterans who lose their sight, we had Steve Baskus in, who was a veteran who's serving our country, and he lost his eyesight from an IED. That's a very traumatic experience. But to realize that you're surrounded with love and that you can achieve, that a disability is not a disability, it's an ability, then to me, that's where the real magic happens. So talk about that aspect of really helping each other with the support, but the fitness, all the benefits of what you do.
Well, the benefit of what we do is, first of all, as you stated, we're to enhance the life and overall fitness and health of blind and visually impaired persons throughout the state of Tennessee, the Mid-South, Memphis, and the surrounding areas. And we do that through physical fitness, adaptive sports. We do it also through fun and exciting leisure activities. And we also do it through educating the public on some of the exceptional athletes that we do have. And basically our goal is to continue to live life at its fullest, to not just survive, but to thrive.
Talk about it from that aspect, from a personal level, of what this means to you and your life and the quality of life for you.
Well, I became visually impaired, as far as I know, in 2006, working a job every day, a maintenance mechanic, looking forward to continuing to work as a maintenance mechanic, and then I found out I was visually impaired. So I started doing some research. I found what I have is glaucoma. I do have some sight, but I don't have full sight. It's severely distorted. And I found out about organizations like National Federation of the Blind, Clover Nook Center for the Blind, and then TANABA, Tennessee Association of Blind Athletes. So what it allows me to do is still be able to do some of the things that I enjoy doing, which is sports, even though I'm one of the grandfathers in sports, 55 years old, we're playing against guys in their 20s. It just allows us to continue to live life. And like you say, we have the cane, and it just is an additional eye. And in addition to the cane, we have to use our other senses that people take for granted, and that in the past I've taken for granted, like my hearing and even my smelling, my sense of touch, and all of those things.
What are some of the ways that we as the public can help?
We have a great need for volunteers in all of our activities. Beep baseball, beep kickball, those games take about 5 volunteers. Gotcha. as umpires, catchers, pitchers, and those kind of things.
So tell us where we can learn more and how can we get involved. So what's that first step? Either the website, phone number, how do we reach out?
Yes, it's Tennessee Association of Blind Athletes, Memphis chapter. Our address that we use, mailing address, is P.O. Box 111503, Memphis, Tennessee 38111. Our website is www.tnaba.org, and telephone number 9013-264788. 85.
I'm just impressed. You can rattle that off. That's impressive. So, Curtis, I mean, thank you so much for all you do here in the Mid-South and for coming on the show and sharing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
The Spark Awards annually recognize and celebrate individuals and organizations that have made outstanding contributions to the community. In this next story, a rough and tumble sport became the vehicle for sharing lessons in discipline, determination, and aspiration. Memphis Inter-City Rugby was our award recipient for nonprofits with an operating budget under $1 million.
My friend Devin and I, without knowing each other, moved here in 2012 through Teach for America. And I became a teacher at an elementary school, and he became a teacher at Kingsbury High School. We just met and realized, hey, you played rugby, I played rugby. Why don't we coach rugby? Because we gained so much from it as students ourselves. And so we figured, how can we not share this with kids that were, teaching in the classroom? So we wanted to do high school, and he had his own high school at Kingsbury. So we went over there, had an interest meeting, and had this wild collection of people show up. And we had some of the best athletes in the school to kids that have never even put on a pair of cleats. And so we went out to Geisman Park down the street, real dusty park, had kids practicing in socks and jeans, and just learning how to sweat and be an athlete and be part of a team. And it was fantastic. And we saw growth immediately in their academics and in their character growth and their ability to socialize and just grow as people. And we said, wow, we have something here. In some of the parts of our city that we work in, we focus on demographics of low-income communities, and we try to get rugby as an accessible sport to minority populations, because it's, in our country, traditionally a suburban sport. A lot of private schools play it, and that's no secret. That's just the way rugby is, and a lot of other non-traditional sports like lacrosse and things like that. So we're trying to break those barriers, and we realize there's all these charter schools around Memphis too that don't have the budget for football, and basketball had only a 12-man roster, and there wasn't really a lot of opportunities for girls, because the football, if they do have football, girls don't play football. So we're like, how do we expand this? Is there a space for it? Is there room for it? And can we solve any problems in the city with it? We realized really fast that we could, so we expanded immediately to where I coach now, Power Center Academy. And since then, we're almost 5 years in now. We've had kids that started out with attendance problems in school that are now on Division I college rugby scholarships and winning national championships. And we have even students that got to Tufts University for academic scholarships. So it's not just rugby. We're big on academic growth, and that's why we have the kids on our teams get private tutors and trained mentors to make sure that they're not just growing as athletes, but as people.
When you look at what you've already accomplished, obviously to have national championship players now, what makes you the most proud?
The players in college is something I'm extremely proud of, but what makes me the most proud is that we have players that graduated and they felt so impacted by the program that they're coming back to coach and mentor the kids that are in it now. And then we have kids that are even saying things like, Coach, when I get out of college, I want to do the same thing that we did in Memphis here in another city, because they understand that the model we've had and created and the impact it's brought is something that's duplicatable, and we want to scale it. And now we have our own kids wanting to do the same thing, so it's the most rewarding thing.
They're a company helping us stay cool, save money, and make a statement. I'm here with the president and owner of SolarTech Glass Tinting and Graphics, Pam Weekly. And so when we talk about SolarTech, you cover a lot of ground. As I mentioned, it's stay cool, but it's also stay kind of heated in the wintertime. And then it's also making a statement and saving money. So you cover a wide territory. But give us a little bit of history for SolarTech.
SolarTech was started by my father in 1976. We were one of the first window film dealers in the Mid-South. And we just were inducted by the 3M Hall of Fame for being one of the oldest in the world.
Wow. And so 3M, massive significance there, because when you talk about the window film, so you're talking huge commercial buildings and even homes, it's the window treatments, correct? The window film.
Right. Then what they do is decrease the solar energy that's coming in, causing heat, discomfort, decrease fading, the ultraviolet rays that causes fading to your carpets, hardwood floors, and also reduces the glare that goes on the TV, especially in those man caves.
And also during the winter, it keeps the heat in. So there's kind of both sides, correct?
Correct. Correct.
And talk about from a homeowner's perspective, because you've got the fading, you've got the cost savings, you've got the heat, the savings when it's hot outside in the summer and it keeps it cool. There's also some safety with this, both commercial and residential too.
Right. We actually have a 3M safety and security film, which we actually use with all the violent weather to increasing crime, unfortunately. What we do is we actually apply the film to the glass and can reduce the breakage and reduce smash and grab break-ins, and also protect us from the glass, from violent weather, the glass that's flying around in a tornado, and protect our kids and our loved ones.
Nice. And you also do, we mentioned making a statement, but a lot of graphics. And so you have huge printers that you can put to good use to do everything from big logos, even on our end, in our office we have the big City Current logo. I mean, you do all sorts of creative things. Talk about that side of the business.
If it's sticky, we like to do it. We kind of went in that direction when the economy went tough. People were more conservative with their money. We went toward the corporate brand. Corporate brand's what we really focus on to try to put their brand out there on their walls within their workspace.
Well, speaking of walls, I mean, you literally, you did this. So our set is your work.
Right.
And I think that's a really neat aspect, is that many times you look and, for instance, right here, it looks like the wood grain, the paneling, but yet for the most part, it's very much an application. And so it's really cool to see what you can do to bring a space to life, an office, a home, and yet it's not necessarily movie magic, but it's not necessarily like, it's not real wood.
Right, and one of the major benefits, it keeps a lot of our damaged doors to damaged elevators, we keep them from going to the landfills. We can actually apply this covering, it's basically a wrap, and we apply it to any surface. It can be stucco, wood, leather, you name it. So.
Talk about philanthropy, because I think this is something that's really cool is, for instance, you will take scraps, some of your things, and you'll donate those to daycares and schools to be able for kids to use for art projects.
Correct. We donate them to the schools where they can create crafts and projects, and the wood grains make beautiful trees.
So yeah, I just think it's really cool to look at all these different uses that you can apply. And another big one is, speaking of the business you're in, and I'm not going to say it because I'll get the name, the mispronunciation, but we'll just call it XP. Right. But these are children that are allergic to sunlight. Is that correct?
Basically, what they are, it's ectoderma pigmentosus. And like you said, we call it XP. But these children are developed at an early age of being highly sensitive to the ultraviolet rays from the sun. They can get cancer or have severe neurological disorders. Most of our customers purchase 3M films for, fading of their furnishings. These kids need our films to survive. We've had three actually, since I've taken over, we have 3 families, 2 in Memphis and 1 in Missouri, that we've followed since birth or since diagnosis of the disease. We tint their automobiles, their homes, and we start with elementary and go all the way up to high school. I've got 2, one that just graduated from college and one's in high school now. So we've known them for a long time. This keeps them to be able to keep going back out in the community and be with normal children. And NASA plays a huge part. They donate their clothing. That way they're protected from the ultraviolet rays of the sun.
What makes you happy when you look at the legacy and the philanthropy, so to speak, but all the good that you're doing with SolarTech?
One of the biggest things is following in my father's footsteps and now seeing a 3rd generation come on with my son, my oldest son. He's taking over and pretty much ready to totally take over. He started working in the community with youth, focusing on sports. And as a mom and a business, seeing him come up and do that. Got 2 more boys coming right up behind him.
You're a mom, you're a wife, you're a business owner. Even I know just off studio we were talking about just some of these huge projects that you're having to manage even on the weekends. Talk about balancing those dynamics.
What's balance?
Exactly. What?
You just keep going.
Yeah, I think for those, especially in college, that look and say, I want to be like Pam, I want to be a business owner, what advice would you give them?
Staying focused, which is difficult, especially when you've got a family. I'm at the point now that my kids are all grown, but keeping that balance, getting away, being able to leave the office and still come back full force.
Well, I greatly appreciate all you do here in the Mid-South and appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
One of the amazing things about living, working, and raising a family here in the Mid-South is that there are countless organizations and people who are working hard each day, rolling up their sleeves to help others and to make a difference in order for all of us to have a bright future. Nonprofits like the College Initiative are helping students who often lack the guidance and support they need to prepare for college, apply to the best fit schools, apply for financial aid, and enroll and persist in their studies and ultimately graduate. They're making college education a priority and making it accessible and changing lives and future generations in the process. The Tennessee Association of Blind Athletes is not only providing sport and recreational opportunities for people with blindness, they're also providing purpose, joy, and fellowship to those who many times feel isolated, and they're inspiring all of us in the process. Companies like SolarTech are then using their expertise and resources for good, to give back, help those in need, and help our city grow. Thank you for watching The Spark and for being a champion in our community. To learn more about each of the guests and to share your stories of others leading by example, visit WKNO.org and click on the link for The Spark. We look forward to seeing you next month, and we hope that you join with us in creating a spark for the Mid-South.
Just like having relevant and accurate information is necessary to make sound hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a sponsor of The Spark.
Since 1964, Memphis Theological Seminary has worked to equip men and women of all races and faith with the spark to do ministry for the real world. We're grateful to serve our community and proud to support WKNO.
Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance has been serving the Mid-South since 1954. We've always focused on supporting our community and believed in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb and Pitts is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.